Shalom, everybody, and welcome to this commentary on the vlogcast for the pulling down of strongholds, a vlogcast for Messianic TIs. And let me just do my disclaimer, my apology. I live in a very colorful neighborhood with beautiful everyday people, and this is a very sensitive microphone. At any time, somebody can roll up and they ride around with the music bumping, and the window on these my unit will start rattling, and hey, it is what it is. I live down the street and around the corner from a fire station on one end, and down the street and around the corner, just down the street at the end of the block, a construction site at the other end. So at any time there can be any type of noise or disturbances, and this microphone will pick it up. It will pick up even like the laughter and such of like neighbors, upstairs neighbors and such. I mean, you'll think that they're right here in this unit, but they're not. And my voice is kind of scratchy, so I might have to clear my throat, but I'll try to turn down the volume. But anyways, what you're looking at here is this is called the Preacha Man. This is a comic panel called the Preacha Man. He is a character that I created just in terms of I was doing like the last episode, if you saw that one, Pulpit Pimps. And sometimes I call it Isaiah 29:10, but it's just a carry on from that one. And this one, it's going to be, instead of it just being an editorial cartoon where it's one panel, it's going to be it's a comic strip. But I've got it on one piece of paper. When you see it, the finished copy, it's one piece of paper, but it's several small panels, and it's just introducing the Preacha Man. And let's see, as I said, a vlogcast. What is a vlogcast? It's a podcast with a video or a visual component, and that makes it a vlogcast. And so the video element or the visual component that I'm using are the editorial cartoons that I did many years back. We're going back 5-6 years back, maybe even 7. Just some of the artwork and such that I did, and helping me to just vent and get out my feelings and such, and just do a little art therapy and healing around the just the betrayals and everything, just of being in organized Christian church for as I said, I was a Pew baby just from infancy on up. And the other reason I'm doing this, let me just do this now. Hang on a second. Okay. And looking back on, my life, just realizing, like I said, growing up in the church, literally, where it was literally right down the street from where I lived, and every weekend, especially in the summer times, cleaning the church, getting ready for Sunday services, and being there many times for, Wednesday Bible study. And just, it was literally like the center of my life, for especially the Black organized Christian church in those formative years when I was growing up. And while I am looking at the that stronghold of that false prophet, I look back and I remember there were leaders in the church that I grew up in. It was basically a large family was at the core of that church, and they accepted us. One of the deacons was, I think, like the first deacon, the head deacon was, he was my godfather. I called him uncle. His wife was my godmother. She was my aunt. She would press my hair. Black folk, y'all know what I'm talking about. That straightening comb, that hot iron comb, me sitting there in the chair, holding the can of Royal Crown, and her straightening my hair. Okay, that was my godmother who did that. She would many times when my mom didn't have money, things were tight for us, she would buy me dresses. She would invite me over for sleepovers, with her children. I mean, they were my godbrother and my godsister. And so I am in no way including them in this when I look at these with these editorial cartoons and panels and such, looking at the stronghold of these some of these, what they call these pulpit pimps, and these Pastor Porkchop and these different people. In fact, the pastor of the church, I called him uncle. His wife, I called her aunt. She taught Sunday school and led the children's choir. They called it the Sunshine Band. I remember that. I mean, it's just these were not that church. These people were not of the caliber that I'm doing that I'm satirizing, or that you'll see. I'm going to do some YouTube footage of just some of the stuff that's still going on as of at least 2 and 3 days ago. A pastor in Miami was arrested and charged, given five felonies charges against him for cheating one of the members of the church out of their home. I mean, just the scandals that are still happening. But these people were not a part of that. And like I said, the pastor of that church, I remember one memory that that I just think of right now is I remember one Christmas. We didn't have a lot of money, but he brought over several bags of food, groceries for us, so that for that Christmas we had food to eat. We had some cranberry sauce and some stovetop stuffing and candy yams, just like everybody else did, and Christmas candy. I mean, it was but he did that. So this is, I'm not talking about those types of pastors, and you know them too, who are not doing the shenanigans and just the deceptive tactics. You know, remember the sister who had the dream? Okay, I've been putting her link in the video description, the box beneath it. I'll do it again, where she said that the Most High showed her a leader of a mega church, and how that he was being duplicitous. He was presenting himself as a man of the cloth, as a man of the Most High, a leader, a shepherd of the Most High's flock, but in all honesty, he was doing the work of the enemy. So this uncle that I'm talking about, this man that I called uncle, the pastor that I called uncle, the deacon that I called uncle, these people are not of that caliber, and you know those who really are. There are some still around who are decent, who have good intentions, who will literally help out families and have programs to literally work in the communities. I'm not talking about them. So don't, take this, when I do this panel here for the Preacha Man, I am not talking about that type of individual, nor am I talking about those specific people from my childhood. I'm not talking about them, but you know the kind that I'm talking about. They're out there. So I just wanted to say that. But the reason this gets as much attention in just like I said, the artwork that I was doing, the therapy to help myself, is because of just how serious it is. And if you remember, if you had a chance to check out that the video that the sister did, I put the link there and I'll put it again. But she talked about basically with that dream, she broke it down. She went through and found scriptures that corresponded with the time of the morning when the dream occurred, and right when she woke up, and how it all correlated and came together, and how it showed how literally these duplicitous men, these false prophets as they're called in the scriptures, how they were purposefully leading these people into activities and beliefs and practices that are turning them into the enemy of the Most High. And we know from the scriptures the Most High destroys his enemies. So basically they are setting up these people to be destroyed. And I found a scripture here. I'm going to share some scriptures during this commentary. And this is the first one, Jeremiah 14, starting at verse 13. Then said I, Yahuwah Elohim, behold, the prophets say unto them, Ye shall not see the sword, neither shall ye have famine, but I will give you assured peace in this place. Then Yahuwah said unto me, The prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination, and a thing of naught, and the deceit of their heart. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah concerning the prophets that prophesy in my name, and I sent them not, yet they say, Sword and famine shall not be in this place. By sword and famine shall those prophets be consumed. And the people to whom they prophesy shall be cast out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword, and they shall have none to bury them, their wives, nor their sons, nor their daughters, for I will pour their wickedness upon them. Okay, so these people are doing wickedness because these prophets, these false prophets, are setting them up and telling them that it's okay. Oh, things aren't going to happen. It's going to be fine. There's nothing to worry about. There's not going to be any famine. There's not going to be any bloodshed. There's not going to be any war. There's not going to be any, don't pay it. The sister that had that dream, that's not going to happen. And because they trust these people who are in these positions of authority, who they see as being the mouthpiece of the Most High here on the earth, they believe them, and they keep doing what it is that they're telling them, and the Most High says it's going to come on them. Because now it's like we're not in the time period of Jeremiah. We have information right at our fingertips. Some of us, we know how to go on Google. We know how to look up information. We know how to look through a library database. We know how to look through an index of magazine articles. We know how to find historical documents and such. We know how to get the information, and many of us have had, even in high school, learn how to do research papers, learn how to find facts, to go through microfiche files and find articles in newspapers and clippings and do just deductive reasoning and logic. And so we don't have the excuse, I didn't know, I don't know. There was a time period, yes, when that was the case. When literally, let me just turn to that right now. In Jude, I've mentioned this verse many times. I'm going to mention it again, and I will probably mention it several other times and when I do commentaries. But go to the book of Jude. It's right before the book of Revelation. That chapter, it's one chapter actually. Jude, starting at verse 3. Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you, and exhort you that ye should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our Elohim into lasciviousness, and denying the only Master Elohim and our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, or they will know him as our Lord Jesus Christ. But look at what he says, that we must now earnestly contend for the faith. Contend, that means fight. That means, you get in there and earnestly. That means with conviction. That means, you put some commitment into it. You can't be casual about it nowadays. There was a time when we could maybe get away with that, when we had an excuse. Many of us, depending on how far back our history, our genealogy goes back into a connection to the scriptures, there were times when literally only the priest had access to the scriptures. They were the only ones who knew how to read. Depending on your family, you had an education and you learned how to read. But if you didn't have the right education, you did not have the right background, you didn't know how to read. That's basically, that's the truth of it. And so those people, they have excuses. We don't have those excuses now. The majority of the people who will listen to this know how to read, know how to sit on an internet, to sit in front of a keyboard and access the internet, which is a search engine, and find articles about Cesare Borgia, about prophets, about ministers, and some of the scandals that are happening. So those excuses are over with. So the Most High literally, basically what he prophesied then is going to happen now, where he's going to bring judgment and punishment on the earth, and he's going to start amongst his own people. He's going to start in his own house first. That's basically what he said. And so for us as TIs, again, what would this have to do with us? Well, we know that it's possible to have a relationship, a strong, enduring, powerful relationship with the Most High and not be connected to a church. Because remember, look at what that verse says again in Jude, verse 3. It said, contend earnestly for the faith, not for a building, not for a program, not contend for the reputation of the pastor. It said contend for the faith, the belief. Contend for that, fight for that belief, because it's going to come under persecution. Now, we know what it's like to be persecuted. We know what it's like to be literally gang-stalked, okay, and still turn to the Most High and be able to get up the next day and endure it again, to endure it all over again. We know how to do that and keep moving forward. We know how to do it. So when many of them, when they buckle and they can't, or just the idea of it, just the thought of just not having access to that minister, and I just can't do it, we can tell them, yeah, you can. You can do it. Your relationship is with the Most High. Your relationship and your connection with him is through this word. It's not through that man. That man, you can't trust him. In fact, let me give you another scripture. This is also in Jeremiah. This is in Jeremiah, turn to it, 17 verse 5, and I'm sure many of you already knew I was going here anyways, and you already got it. Jeremiah 17 verse 5, thus saith Yahuwah, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, whose heart departeth from Yahuwah. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabit it. Can't see when good cometh. What could be a good thing? A good thing would be that sister putting that video out, sharing that dream. A good thing would be, hey, this funny, strange woman named Zipporah who's doing all these strange, weird comic strips. A sister doing comic strips? Okay. Editorial cartoons talking about something that needs to be talked about. Okay, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe what you went through, what you are going through as a victim of gang stalking, could there be some good in that? Could some good come from that? If it gives you the strength to stand up and not go into those churches, if it gives you the strength and the fortitude, the internal fortitude to talk to your favorite auntie, that cousin of yours, that coworker, that lady next door who you know is if she's not already at church, she's on her way to the afternoon services. It's where I'm at right now. It's 11:24 a.m. Probably on her way right now to make it to the afternoon services, to be able to turn in her tithing envelope. Okay, and depending on the church that she's in, that she's propping somebody up. Might not be a good thing that she's doing it. Okay, but you would hopefully be able to talk to her because you have the strength. You know that she can have a relationship with the Most High. She doesn't have to tithe that church or that individual. She can tithe several different poor people that she sees maybe on a daily basis, that maybe might come up to her. She could take that tithe money and put it in her purse and have it there to be able to give to a few different people who come up and ask her if she has a few dollars to spare. That's a way to do your tithing. I mean, there's so many things that you can tell them to help them to get strength to not be a part of those churches, to leave those churches because of the impending doom, because what's on the horizon for them. Okay, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But because they trust in this man, they make this flesh their arm. They can't see that. And literally the Most High says you're going to be cursed. If you do that, you're going to be cursed. And so look right here. This is the way I've got this set up. You can see the panels. He's the Preacha Man, and everybody just sees him as just being so good. But when you follow this through, and you see what he's doing, how he's got one hand behind his back, got a smile on his face, he's wiggling his little fingers. Okay, the woman's looking at him, the mom's looking at him, but she can't see over the top of the hood of the stroller, so she can't see what's going on. But when you follow it through, you're gonna see, okay, he's got candy behind his back. Okay, well, is that a bad thing or a good thing? But when you look at it, again, she's someone who just sees this man as just her pastor, the Preacha Man. He's a good man. Oh, we can trust him, which is what we all do. We look the other way when they do something that it just seems kind of strange. We don't want to ever question them because we don't want to question the Most High's mouthpiece. We don't ever want to be accused of disrespecting him because the Most High sent him here to be our shepherd and watch over us. So we don't want to disrespect him, not in that way. So we just smile politely, we kind of laugh and look the other way, ignore, downplay things that are happening that maybe we don't quite feel comfortable with, but we don't want to be the one to rock the boat. We don't want to draw attention to ourselves. We need that. Church for many of us is the source of it's our social center. It's if depending on the services, the way what it's providing for the community, it might be a place where we can get some help. But if we're sitting up there rocking the boat, creating problems, questioning the minister, then we might not be able to get that help. And nobody wants to be turned out in the cold, especially not in the time periods that we're living in now. So, we don't really, we don't say nothing. I mean, this is the Preacha Man, we don't want to disrespect the Preacha Man. But if you keep following this through, I apologize that it's not the best rendering. Like I said, studied art, graduated with an art degree, but it was in studio art. I did not spend my time in front of the computer learning Adobe. Okay, I spent it in front of an easel. I spent it at a drawing table. I spent it in figure drawing, printmaking, some watercolor. But yeah, if you keep looking through this, you're going to see basically what is it he's doing. Okay, there it is. He's done stole the candy from the baby. Okay, but he's got a smile on his face, wiggling his fingers, gitchy coo. And the mom doesn't see that. And what is it that she says? Oh, you're so good with babies, Preacha Man. Not even seeing that he done stole the baby's candy. Okay, and so it's supposed to be funny. supposed to be, a little lighthearted. And what does it say? Who can steal candy from a baby and keep a smile on his face? Okay, again, just a parody of that whole Superman, who can, leap a tall building in a single bound, okay? Or as Underdog, if anybody remembers Underdog from Electric Company, who can leap a capital T with a single bound, okay? That was, again, that's the Preacher Man. That's how I was doing the panels and setting them up. And this one is, again, I apologize, me trying to use my stylus and my Wacom tablet, okay, to draw. It's easier for me to draw with graphite pencil on Bristol board. Or even better, just to do it as a painting. With painting, you're working with shapes instead of line. But trying to do this with this digital stylus using Adobe software, it's kind of hard. But this is but I think I kind of got the expression on his face, and I'm going to draw in the environment, and you're going to be able to see basically what's going on here in this panel. But it's this it's the Preacha Man, and you're gonna see where he's basically, I'm trying to show him running. Okay, and I love comics. Read them all my life since I was at least 5-6 years old, but I just love it. I mean, you can do a lot with it. You can just a basic symbol, with a shape. You can tell, okay, he's running. You got that down, and just go into a little detail. Get the sidewalk going. Got a storefront window, or it's going to be a storefront window, okay, and it's gonna become clear what the scene is, and it's just, again, it's another parody on the whole Superman or the Underdog, just those questions that they would always ask at the intro to the episode, introducing them, but again, just using this as a way to just help me just deal with the feelings and the bitterness that I had about some of the experiences that I had in just different churches and such, with some of these people. I mean, just how, and we all know them, just like there are those good-hearted ministers and pastors and such, there are those who now we know very clearly that they were Masons. We know that they had another agenda, and it did not include helping out the poor that were in their flock. But okay, so yeah, you can see he's running fast. Okay, and I'm going to put in the thought bubble, and what is it that he's saying? See ya later, sucker. Okay, yeah, that's the attitude that some of these people that they have for the members of their congregation. And this man trying to catch him, he's chasing after him, he want to get him, but he can't. And then just putting it again with the put the text box with the question. I think if I remember correctly, for Superman, it was who he's faster than a locomotive or something like that. I can't remember, but this one is who can outrun an angry baby daddy faster than a crackhead does the po-po. Okay, and then we got the crowd that's cheering. But again, just trying to use art as a way to just distance myself and see from a different angle what was going on, to diffuse that power, giving my power to these individuals who did not deserve it, who did not deserve my trust, who did not deserve my confidence to take into as a confidant, who were not safe, but who were the exact opposite, who are basically a threat to our salvation, to our eternal life. Because if you are Messianic TI and you have no hope and no trust in this society, then salvation, eternal life, is what we hope for. We strive for that, because anything that we deal with on this earth, what we're promised a peace and a love and a joy beyond all understanding. I want that. Okay, but look at again this man here, this the Preacha Man, who we've put so much trust in. For many of us, depending on what we have dealt with, was not the person that we could trust. But we know that we can trust in the Most High. We know that we can trust in His Son. Let me just see if I can find a verse. If I can find it. It has given me strength, and it has given me confidence and comfort, and I'm going to share it with you. I think I've shared it before, and I'll share it again. Isaiah. Let's see here. Isaiah chapter 43. Let me see if I can find it here. Isaiah. Hold on a second. I'm looking in my English one, so it's going to be a little. Let's see here. So I can't find it in English. Let me see if I can find it here in Spanish. Hold on a second. Yes, well, here it is right there. Miami pastor charged with defrauding man out of his home. Okay, and that was, as you can see on the date, February 18th, 2022. So much for those who want to say that I'm just taking a few things that happened a few years ago and maybe running with it and exaggerating with it. Nope, I think not. Okay, yeah, Isaiah 43, starting at verse 2. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. And we know that in many instances, waters in the scriptures is symbolic of people. Meaning when we're caught up in this nonsense as victims of gang-stalking, where we've got 3 or 4 of them, 5 in a row, that are trailing us in their cars as we're walking down the street, or following behind the bus that we're in, or in the car behind us, throwing on their brights if it's at night. It doesn't matter. He's going to be with us. And the reason and the proof that we have that he has been with us is that we're still here. But okay, this is a fellow's channel, Dawson Speaks, where he covers these ministers and the things that they're doing. And just look at them. Some of the dates, they're not 3 years ago. They're not 15 years ago. Some of them, this one here, what is it? This guy lied to get $135,000. That was a month ago. There was one of them. A Georgia pastor locked 8 people in the basement. That was 4 weeks ago. I mean, this is what's out there. And so we have many of us. We have situations where those family and friends that we want to get out of there, they can't. They hear about these things, they see about these things, but it's that one. Oh, it ain't got nothing. They ain't all like that. Oh, you just come on now. You putting too much into it. Come on now, and it's hard to talk to them. And trust me, having done missionary service, I understand and just know from experience that to come at them, attacking them in anger or with intensity sometimes doesn't work. Okay, but when we can calm down, okay, remember we've dealt with this. We're in the midst of a fiery trial. Okay, we are in a fiery furnace. Okay, and so we know that it's important to stay calm, to stay focused. And I'm saying stay calm and stay focused, and maybe use a little bit of humor at the same time. Okay, find a way to take an angle at it, just like you would, find the humor in some of what these gang stalkers do when you step back and look, and when you are able to identify them and look at some of the things that they do, how you can find some humor in that, how humor can be a form of healing. Do it with this as well. Be in the middle of this fiery trial that you're in, and find the strength. And while you find the strength to help yourself, why not help out your neighbor that you know is going to be going to some of these different co-signing and supporting some of these different scandalous activities and different programs and stuff, and false traditions and pagan traditions that are setting them up to be the enemy of the Most High. Maybe find some humor. And I'm saying use some of these editorial panels that I use for myself. I'm making them available for you, as I did with the last one. At the end of this one, I'm going to show you how to go onto the website, and you can just take a screenshot of it, and or you can go over to the online store, and you can buy a postcard of it, or a puzzle, or a poster, or whatever. But I'm not providing them to try and get you to use it as a way to throw up in their face and make fun of them. That's not what this is about. And again, just use it on an individual basis. Maybe with some of them you can use it, and maybe some of them you can't. Ask the Most High to show you how to use them, if you even want to use them at all. Maybe you can just direct them to the vlogcast itself. But we know that the Most High, that He uses the wicked, just as He used us. He used He put us in this fiery trial, and He is using those perpetrators, those gang stalkers, to help bring up, just like with metal, with precious metals to bring up all the sediment, to bring up all of the sand, all of the pebbles, so that they can be brought up by the fire and they can be scooped off, and then they can be poured and molded into a hammer to break down some of those strongholds. And I'm saying that one of those strongholds is these duplicitous pastors, the Preacha Man. Some of them call him Pastor Porkchop. Okay, but this part of the this is just the cut and paste. This is now taking those individual panels and putting them in the comic strip, because it's a comic strip. It's several panels put together. But I think that another scripture that I wanted to share is in 2 Corinthians. When you're sharing this with these people and they try to do that. I mean, we've heard it before. Maybe we've had it said to us, and maybe we've, depending on where we were at some point in our life, maybe we were the ones telling people, "Oh, come on now, it ain't all that bad." Until, of course, we started dealing with the gang-stalking, and then we realized, yeah, it is that bad. And some of us ended up having to leave those churches. But check this verse out. This is in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, starting at verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of Elohim with idols? For ye are the temple of the living Elohim. As Elohim hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith Yahuwah, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. Okay, there it is. I went through that whole thing, but in this case, it's not about unbeliever and believer. It's about a man who is purposefully setting up our loved ones to be the enemies of the Most High, so that they can be destroyed, which is what they were ordained to do, which is what they have been doing for centuries, at least going back as far as the time of Jude, coming in, getting into positions of authority, and setting them up. And one of the positions that they get is that Preacha Man. And so, okay, here it is. That's the panel, the Preacha Man. That's one of my cartoon characters. And so you can go to the website, go under Creative Gospel Expressions, and under Editorial Cartoons, and there you'll find it. And just click on the link, and it'll take you to the page. And you can take a screenshot of that, and you can take that over to Zazzle and do your own, set up your own puzzle or whatever. You don't necessarily have to go through the ministry's online store. Again, that's just for people who somehow if they want to try to put out that somehow I'm just trying to make money off, trying to make shekels off the people's dem. That's not what this is about. But yeah, so here again, wherever you see an underlined word, that's a link to like the Preacha Man. You can get it as a puzzle, you can get it as a poster. It's too big for a postcard, so I didn't do it as a postcard. But yeah, so again, this is the online store just has some items and such to talk about just gang stalking, to raise the awareness of gang stalking, and now to just raise the awareness of some of these strongholds that are quickly going to be coming to an end. That woman in the dream that she had, she didn't give a timeline, but we know that it's going to be soon. I guess. But yeah, so there it is. That's the Preacha Man. But thanks for listening to this commentary. Be sure and give it a thumbs up and leave a comment as to how you feel these duplicitous, deceiving leaders should be dealt with. Leave it in the comment section. If humor, if comics and editorial cartoons aren't enough, or too silly or too trite, how would you do it? Leave a comment. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed and you like it and you want to see more, you want to get more content, be sure and check it out. And okay, I got a little PSA at the end of this, but I hope that this is helpful for Messianic TIs. If so, share it with another TI who is also has the Most High and his Messiah as a refuge. But yeah, that's it. That's the Preacha Man. And I've got a few more comic characters, cartoon characters, that I'm going to be introducing in the next few episodes. But this is one of them. Another one is Sephora and the Church Heads. It's her aunt and uncle, and her cousin. But hopefully you'll be able to find the humor in what it is that I'm talking about with that one as well. Okay.
Say, feel that bass. We gon' shake up this place. Say, pick up that bass. Yeah, we got no time to waste. Everybody say, feel that bass. Yeah, we gon' shake up this place. Pick up that bass. We got